All right, today we are diving into a huge, and I mean huge, problem in the world of engineering and architecture. It's that frustrating gap, you know the one, between a truly brilliant design and how it actually gets executed in the real world. We're going to break down a framework that helps you finally close that gap by measuring what actually matters. I want you to picture this for a second. Your team has poured months, maybe years, into a groundbreaking design. The BIM model is flawless. The renders are just breathtaking. But then, somewhere between that perfect digital world and the muddy reality of the job site, the vision starts to fall apart. Deadlines get pushed, budgets explode, and the finished building, well, it just doesn't have that magic you started with. It's an incredibly common and incredibly painful story. Okay, now flip that script. Imagine a different reality. What if you could make your projects way more sustainable and at the same time see a direct, measurable boost to your bottom line? I'm talking about cutting material waste by a quarter. Not by hoping for the best, but by using a system that tracks your progress with cold, hard, verifiable data. You know, this isn't just about feeling good, it's about being radically efficient and way more profitable. And this is the real kicker. Ask yourself honestly, is everyone on your project truly aiming for the exact same finish line? Is the lead architect in the office, the structural engineer redlining the drawings, and the site manager juggling a dozen subcontractors? Are they all actually working toward the same specific, measurable outcome? Or is everyone kind of running their own race, just hoping it all comes together in the end? Because let's be real, that misalignment is probably the #1 killer of great projects. Look, if any of this sounds painfully familiar, if you are just tired of vague mission statements and those frustrating disconnects that cost you time and money, I've got good news. There is a better way. There's a proven, battle-tested framework that some of the most successful organizations on the planet use to turn their biggest, most ambitious goals into actual, measurable results. So what is this magic bullet? It's a framework called Objectives and Key Results, or OKRs. It was championed by the legendary venture capitalist John Doerr, who wrote the book on it. Literally, it's called Measure What Matters. He first learned it at Intel, and then, back in 1999, he brought it to a tiny little startup. Maybe you've heard of them, Google. Since then, it's become the secret sauce for giants like the Gates Foundation. It's the system they use to get the focus and clarity they need to do incredible things.
Okay, let's get into it. Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll quickly touch on why great designs fail. Then, we'll explain the OKR framework itself. After that, we'll get into the fun stuff, defining your ambitious what, measuring your actionable how, talking about stretch goals and alignment, and finally, tying it all together so you can build what really matters. All right, Section 2, the OKR framework explained. At its heart, this is all about a dead simple formula for taking that incredible vision you have in your head and making it real.
So what exactly are we talking about here? It's actually super simple. OKRs are a way to set goals that helps you do two things really well. First, you define your big, ambitious, inspiring goals. Those are your objectives. And second, you track how you're doing with specific, measurable, can't argue with the milestones, and those are your key results.
And this right here, this is the entire system in one. Beautiful equation. Your objective is what you want to achieve. It's the destination. Your key results are how you're going to get there. They're the measurable steps on the map. You combine that inspiring what with a quantifiable how, and boom, you get a crystal clear path to success. It just cuts through all the noise and ambiguity. All right, so let's break that equation down. First up, Section 3, defining your ambitious what. This is all about setting objectives that actually get your team fired up, instead of just being another forgotten line item on a Gantt chart. You've seen this a million times, right? Some manager says, our goal is to improve our BIM efficiency. Okay, what on earth does that actually mean? It's vague, it's boring, and inspires no one. Now look at the OKR objective. Revolutionize our Q3 design to construction handoff process to eliminate common structural clashes. See the difference? It's huge. It's ambitious, it's time-bound to the next quarter, and it names a specific expensive, soul-crushing problem that every single person on your team hates dealing with. That's a goal people can get behind. Here's another perfect example. Be safer this quarter. That's not a goal. That's a poster on a wall. It's meaningless. But establish a world-class safety culture across all major job sites this quarter. Now that is an objective. It's a mission. It tells your team you're not just going to react to accidents anymore, you're going to proactively build a system to prevent them from ever happening. It's inspirational, and it sets the stage for real, measurable change.
Let me tell you a story from the field. This is a real one. An architecture firm was just sick and tired of watching their best designs get slowly chipped away by value engineering. You know what I'm talking about, where the clients or contractors start swapping out materials and changing core design elements to save a few bucks, compromising the whole vision. So they set this powerful objective: elevate the integrity of our flagship design to construction through the completion of 90% of the project. This gave the entire team a rallying cry. It wasn't just about getting it built, it was about getting it built right and protecting the design's soul.
Okay, so having a big, inspiring what is awesome, but it's totally useless without the how. So let's move on to section 4, measuring your actionable how. This is where we get into crafting key results that are so specific, so measurable, that there's simply no gray area.
This is where the rubber meets the road. Check this out. The objective is classic: finish the next phase of a tower on time and under budget. Great, but how? Well, KR1 attacks the project's critical path by aiming to shave 3 days off the concrete cycle time. That is a massive lever on a high-rise. KR2 tackles the endless back and forth by aiming to slash the number of RFIs, the requests for information, from the site by 40%. And KR3 ties it all back to the money, with a hard target of spending 5% less on labor. See? Each one is a number. At the end of the quarter, you either hit it or you didn't. Simple.
And here is a fantastic real-world key result. A firm wanted to get serious about sustainability and their out-of-control material costs. So their KR was implement a new material ordering algorithm to cut steel rebar offcut waste from 12% down to 5% by the end of Q4. That single, hyper-specific goal was incredible. It not only proved they could rigorously track their sustainability efforts, but it also ended up saving them millions of dollars. That is the kind of power a really well-written KR has.
All right, now we get into the really cool stuff. This is what separates OKRs from just, plain old goal setting. Section 5, stretch goals and alignment. This is about the mindset and the system that truly make this whole thing work.
Okay, I want you to just stare at this number for a second. 0.7. In most companies, a 70% is a C. It's average, maybe even a failure. But in the world of OKRs, hitting 70% of a really, really ambitious goal, that's a huge win. That's cause for celebration. And this is a fundamental shift in how we think about success.
This is a total mindset shift, especially for engineers and architects who are kind of wired for 100% completion. With traditional goal setting, called MBOs, you set safe, predictable targets, and anything less than 100% is a disappointment. OKRs flip that on its head. They encourage you to set huge, audacious stretch goals. The thinking is this: if you're hitting 100% all the time, your goals are too small, you're not innovating, you're not pushing the envelope. Achieving 70% of something you thought was impossible is way more valuable than getting 100% of something you knew you could do in your sleep.
So how does this framework stop the design team from creating something the site team can't possibly build? Alignment. It is all about alignment. It starts at the top with a big company objective, like become the region's leading sustainable builder. Then that cascades down. The design team says, okay, our key result to support that is to get 3 projects LEED Platinum certified. And that connects perfectly with the site supervisor, whose KR is reduce our landfill waste by 50%. Suddenly, everyone's individual work is transparently and directly connected to the big picture. Everyone is rowing in the same direction.
But a plan is just a plan, right? How do you keep it alive week after week? That's where this little acronym comes in, CFRs. It stands for Conversations, Feedback, and Recognition. Conversations happen because OKRs are public. Everyone can see everyone else's goals, which sparks collaboration. Feedback is constant. You have weekly check-ins where you talk about the numbers. And recognition is all about learning. If a key result is missed, the conversation isn't about whose fault it is, it's about why did our process fail us? And how do we fix the system together? It's a no-blame culture.
So we've gone through the what and the how. But what's the big payoff here? What's the point of all of this? Welcome to Section 6, Build What Matters. This is the ultimate prize.
At the end of the day, the OKR framework does something more profound than just help you track progress. It forces you and your entire organization to have the hard, necessary conversations about what is truly the most important thing to focus on right now.
It takes a fuzzy aspiration like, let's build great buildings, and crystallizes it into an actionable, measurable mission that every single person, from the intern to the principal, can understand and contribute to. It gives you focus. And in our line of work, focus is everything.
So I want to leave you with a challenge, a question to take back to your team. What is the one audacious, game-changing goal your team could actually achieve this year if you finally stopped managing busy work and started to measure what truly, deeply matters in your designs and on your job sites? Think about it. Thanks for watching.